Hello Internet, this is Zach Ritchie with Fund&Grow. We're going to be doing something a little bit different in this video. Instead of going over elements of what makes up your credit report or what kind of business credit you should be looking at, instead we're going to be investigating an actual case file of a former client of ours. This is the saga of someone who went through the entire process start to finish and the sort of roller coaster that they went through and the projects that needed to be done in order to make them a success. So, looking over here, our case study here starts with a Mr. Simon Gary. Now, he owned a 5-year-old plumbing business, and in fact, that was the entity we were able to use to launch his applications for new credit. Now, if he happened to come to us with no business set up, we can help set up something for him to get that ball rolling. But in this case, the plumbing business looked great, and so that's what we were able to utilize in order to get the applications out the door. Now, Simon had a good handful of personal credit cards established. However, he had 3 different accounts that were closed but still had balances on them. So the first thing that we did before even looking at applications was we advised that he take care of those balances by either paying off each individual account holder or even doing a balance transfer if he had a little bit of room on some of his other existing cards that were still open and in good shape. So all in all, this ended up being a few $100s to cover all 3 of those closed accounts. And once he paid them, the next step was we had to give them time to reflect. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to your credit, anytime you make a payment on an account, be it open, closed, whatever the case is, it may reflect in the internal information of that account. The bank itself might say, yes, we got your payment, here's it reflecting on the balance. However, it can take up to 30 full days for the bank to report that payment to the credit bureaus. So it's a situation here where you kind of have to live within the means of what the banks dictate. So Simon was on top of it. He took care of those 3 accounts with balances. We waited about 30 days for those to reflect. And then we were able to apply for his first batch of business credit. Now, he was assigned a specific account manager who took a look at the situation, came up with the best list of banks to go to, and launched applications with him. Now, this was a strong start. Simon came through this thing and he was given $42,000 from the banks on business credit. Now, 42 grand, nothing to sneeze at. That's a great start for a lot of different businesses. However, in Simon's case, obviously we're looking for more. So, after the application was done, initial results were starting to come in. Then his account manager began reaching out to the banks on his behalf and really showcasing the strength of Simon's credit report. And so, after about 3 weeks of negotiating, the account manager had negotiated that initial $42,000 up to $77,000 in 0% interest business credit. So $77,000 not showing up on Simon's personal credit that he had full access to spend on however he needed to for his business. Now, what did he do with that? Well, immediately, Simon took that funding, upgraded his equipment, upgraded his business vehicle, and immediately begun to double his monthly earnings by utilizing that funding right back into the business. Now, time jump. 6 months go by. Simon's been spending on the cards, paying on the cards. Everything's been good. In fact, he even went above and beyond and scrubbed the inquiries from the first batch off his credit report. And right before looking to apply again, Simon does the best he can do. He brings down the balances on the business cards back down to 50%. So, account manager, along with Simon, gets the new applications out. Now, this time around, Simon comes through another $28,000 approved right out of the gate. Again, not bad at all. However, folks, we are the difference maker. And so his account manager dug their heels in, pushed those banks, and was able to take that $28,000 approved, move it into another $71,000, almost matching the first batch perfectly. Now, quick math here. You take batch 1, batch 2, we're talking about $150,000 that Simon has been able to use for his business. All coming in at 0%. And so, what is the big lesson here? from the situation? Well, let me give you this factoid. According to Forbes, in the last 5 years, all major American banks approved less than 15% of business loan requests. So for Simon, he was able to find an alternative path of funding and basically double his profits within a year. And so, by going along and following our instruction, coming up with a plan together with us, and holding up his end of things, we were able to take the results that he would have maybe gotten from the banks to start with and blow it up exponentially. Because if Simon had gone the traditional route, if he had gone and tried to apply for business credit on his own, etc., what was he looking at? About 50 grand, which to some businesses, that's life-changing money and that's wonderful. But for Simon, he wanted more to really, really grow his business. And so, by working with us, we were able to take that, let's say, hypothetical 50,000 and triple that through our methods and our people. That is the lesson to be learned here. The banks are not approving any kind of businesses, startups, established businesses. The banks are not approving them for the absolute maximum amount that they could. And so, it's a game. It's a game, and the banks know all the rules. So you need to figure out how to play not only their game, but play the bank's game at or above their level. And people like Fund&Grow is usually the answer to that. So, Simon's been a wonderful client. He's been absolutely wonderful to talk to. I'm thrilled that we were able to get him great results, to allow him the opportunities, the path, and the power to do what he wanted to do with his business since the beginning. And so I hope that you have found this case study at least interesting, if not informative. And of course, if you have any questions, heck, if you want to be one of our case studies, feel free to leave that information below in the comments section. If you want to learn more about Fund&Grow, we've got all kinds of links in the description. And for everybody here, I'm Zach Ritchie, and I'll see you next time.